My name is Jenna, and I want to talk about the Bigfoot Kachina connection. And I'm going to start with what motivated me to study the Kachinas and make this connection. It was this painting, and after I share everything I learned about the Kachinas, then I can maybe talk about how I came into possession of this painting. Okay. So, it was late December 2013 when I first began my obsession with the Kachinas, interest in the Kachinas. Before that, I had heard of Kachinas, and actually I lived in Clarkdale, Arizona, from middle of 6th grade, and then in Jerome up until my 20s. So I grew up in Arizona, and I had heard of Kachinas, but I remember one time my friend was excited because he had bought a Kachina painting, and I just remember it being like, kind of the very round and turquoise, black and white, and very stylized to the point of not, it maybe even flying in the sky too. So it wasn't anything like terrestrial or it wasn't like, anyways, that's it. That's what I know about the Kachinas. Up until late December 2013. And that's when, based off of this painting, I began to study everything I could about the Kachinas. And the first thing that I learned was that I would be able to find out who these Kachinas are. And that was really exciting because there's actually a group of Kachinas, and they have different names and different characteristics, and they look different. And there's a lot of symbolism involved, and they have different meanings and represent different things. Now, one of the things that was challenging when you're studying the Kachinas online, maybe if I would have searched for some books, but the whole thing about Kachinas, really, and that kind of Native American, I learned so much. I learned this is the yellow Ojote Kachina, and this here is the whipper Kachina, and there's a lot to say about both of them, not to mention what's going on in this painting. Okay, so one of the things that was challenging for me, I really wanted to learn about the original Kachinas and not about, I wanted to learn about everything, of course, but that's what I really wanted to focus on. And so to track down that information is hard, because usually things that come up are the things that are in memory of the Kachinas, like the dances that are yearly, and the some of the meanings of them have changed as they've, like in the dances, they do different things than maybe they did the original ones did. Because like they'll say, that the whipper's job was to keep, the being such an inline. Don't quote me on this, but at the dances. And what I'm saying is that the dances are in memory of these kachinas. So before he was in charge of dancing the dances, he was doing other things. So there's a lot of okay, the Hote kachinas. Oh boy, there's a red ahote, a blue ahote, and the yellow ahote is lesser known. Comes from the plains south. Its location yellow, and so is the blue and the red. I've studied a lot more about the yellow, but there is like also the red the Red Star Kachina prophecy, which I also reading these things, when you do research, you do have an objective. I am looking for certain kinds of information, and while I find it interesting that they say that the red ahote symbolizes some kind of a celestial body, where there's definitely I'm looking for the more terrestrial Bigfoot, anything having to connect Bigfoot and the Kachinas. And what I found is that also once you do the research, you reach a point where all of the information about the old Kachinas is basically repeated word for word everywhere you look, and it'll only just be like one or two sentences per Kachina, and like I want to know more. So I did find some very interesting stories about the Kachinas, and then I also found some interesting things that one of these hours and hours of endless studying found, and then when I kind of tried to find that again, it was a little bit hard. And I don't like that. I like to be able to back up what I said. One of those things is that I read that, and then I had trouble finding this again later. I'll look for it again. But somewhere I read that the reason they wear these disguises, and a lot of it will be like animal, horns and animal parts. They'll like attach them to themselves, and just different mud. And the yellow ahote, apparently that's yellow paint. So it's like we don't really know what his true color looks like. There's a good chance the yellow, red, and blue ahote are all the same. And I don't know why, if they're directional. I can only think of those three. I don't know what is missing with that. I mean, there should be four, right? Is there a green ahote? I have no idea. That's weird that I don't know. There's the red, blue. Blue is the most popular. Red is very popular because of the Red Kachina myth. And this yellow one, he's not as well known. He's a good hunter. I read something somewhere again in a story about the ahotes, about the yellow ahote, that in the very first meetings with the Native Americans, he was the one that brought roasted meat and shared it with the Native Americans, and that's how they say that they learned to roast meat. This yellow ahote showed him. That's something that I said usually the information that you find about them you can find it everywhere and it's repeated pretty exactly. There's are those certain things that I remember learning, reading, that again, I had trouble finding those things again. And another one of those things was a special wording. So, I can't prove, maybe I did read it wrong, but the red kachina myth is basically taken, it's big. The part I'm interested in is when they say, and when this happens, at that time, we'll take off our masks and show the people who we really are, and then they'll understand. Isn't that interesting? But a lot of the Red Kachina prophecy is about possibly something cataclysmic. So, from the sky that's red, like a comet or something. Comets are blue. Maybe an asteroid. Mars. I don't know. Maybe Nibiru or something. So, okay, and here's another thing. Now, when I'm doing research about the Kachinas, I really want to find paintings. Look, I really want to find the artist that painted this painting with this amazing signature. And so I was not able to do that at all. Nothing conclusive anyways. But we'll talk about that later. My point with that was that okay, so the yellow ahote is a good hunter. He's a little taller and skinnier than the rest. Oh, I know another thing. So most of the stuff, when you do any research about the Kachinas, it's gonna be about dolls, Kachina dolls, and that's how they originated as dolls, and they're really amazing and cool, and oh my God, the old ones, they're really just amazing. But because of my sort of bias, I was very interested in looking at finding paintings, and especially finding this artist. So I, went crazy with that search. And although I wasn't able to find this artist, I discovered an artist. His name is Dwayne Dishta. And wow, oh my gosh, that's who I mean, there's a lot of amazing, it's a lot harder to find Kachina paintings, is my point with that. So, really trying to delve into that. There are a lot of great Kachina artists and paintings, but Dishta was the one that most similarly related, looked like, these guys really a lot like they were, and it's just kind of, I find it interesting how they know how to paint these guys, not just like because that's the way they're supposed to be painted, but almost just like because that's really like, it just seems so purpose well, this painting and Dishta's paintings really blow me away, leave me speechless, and give an interesting view about the Kachinas. Now, another thing that I read was a story about some Bigfoot or some kachinas. We'll have to continue this later.